In this video, we talk about the various types of insulation that can be used in the manufacture of a spa and just how important insulation is when it comes to reducing running costs. Right, so let's talk about insulation and various options that spa manufacturers can use to insulate their spas. Now, with the possible exception of whether or not you fit a heat pump to a spa, insulation is the single biggest determiner on spas' running costs. Yes, you can buy a spa at the cheaper end of the market and save $2,000 or $3,000 on the purchase price, but over the life of the spa, that spa could cost you as much as $10,000 more in electricity costs if it has poor or low levels of insulation. So there are multiple ways that a spa manufacturer can insulate their spa. The simplest way is spraying a bit of foam on the shell. Spas in the sort of the $4,000 to $6,000 price bracket, that's what you're going to see. It's insulating the shell, which is fine when the water isn't moving, but as soon as you turn the pump on, all of those water lines, the plumbing of the spa is sitting outside the insulation, and if it's in the middle of winter, that's just radiating heat out into that cool environment. So the next level of insulation is, yes, to insulate the shell of the spa, but also insulate the perimeter, the inside of the cabinet and the base of the spa. And what that's doing is trapping a layer of warm air between the outside of the shell and the inside of the cabinet. It's kind of like double glazing in your home. If you're wanting to stop heat loss through a window, you have 2 or even 3 layers of glass with air trapped in between. It's the same principle. Insulation on the shell, insulation on the perimeter, traps a pocket of warm air. The plumbing is sitting in that warm air so you're not losing heat when the spa is running. And also, when those pumps which sit in that environment are working, they're generating waste heat as well, which helps to return heat back into the spa. It's my personal favorite way of insulating a spa pool. The third way of insulating a spa is filling the entire cavity between the shell and the cabinet with foam. Now, it's great from a running cost point of view. It is going to significantly reduce the running cost of the spa. The only drawback, and the reason that it's not my favorite option, is if you get a leak, because that foam just sucks it up. And you could literally have that spa leaking for a year without knowing it, until it starts dribbling out the bottom. You go to pick the spa up, it weighs twice its normal weight because that foam has soaked up the water. Technician has to come out, wade through all of that foam to find where the leak is in the first place, fix it up, and then try and re-foam the spa. Bit of a nightmare. Under that second method, where we're using foam on the shell and on the perimeter of the cabinet, you quite literally, in the unlikely event of a leak, pull the cabinet off. There it is, right there. You fix the leak, put the cabinet back on, job done in half an hour. So I hope this video has explained how insulation can affect the long-term running costs of your next spa.